I'd like to invite Sh.Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce and IT, Govt of Telangana, to address the gathering, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for being late. First of all, I would like to congratulate BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, the pride of our city, our state and our country, for being felicitated by ISA body. It's an extremely deserving honor, and since I know what he has contributed here to this city and to this state personally, I really admire the fact that you have chosen such an appropriate person for this honor. So congratulations to all of you. Ashwini ji, chairperson of ISA, other members of ISA Management Committee, distinguished speakers, invitees, ladies and gentlemen. I was here in the opening ceremony also, and I'm again very proud to acknowledge the fact that this event has started so successfully and so positively here in Hyderabad, the fourth edition of Deftronics. And I'm very sure that now that we are towards the fag end of the day, I'm sure that throughout the day, all of us have had some very insightful discussions. We have been enriched by some of the thoughts that have been shared. I am also very gladdened to see that the who's who of the industry, the defense industry, the electronics, the semiconductor industry, they all have chosen to attend this event, and some of their top leadership is present. I met many of them on the sidelines in the morning and even now. In fact, one of the reasons I got delayed was that though I stepped into the hotel on time, I was stopped in the lobby, and I had a very interesting conversation with 2-3 very important industry leaders whom I just could not ignore. And they were also talking about bringing some business to Hyderabad. So I obviously have to give extreme priority to that aspect of my work. But nevertheless, since you are in Hyderabad, and many of you might have heard about the way our government is running the business here in the last 3 years, many of you would have got a very personal sense of it since morning. You would have heard the minister speak in the plenary session. You would have seen some of the exhibition stalls put up by our homegrown enterprises, including many from the mid-scale and the small-scale companies. And obviously, you would have networked and interacted with people who have businesses here already and got a very direct feedback. In fact, I would like to share something. I was talking, as I said, just before entering the hall, I was talking to a couple of people who again represent a very important industry, one of the largest semiconductor companies. And I was trying to tell them that in the last 3 years, Hyderabad has seen some amazing traction. Some of the best in the world have chosen to come to Hyderabad. And he was asking me what exactly it is that companies find of value here in Hyderabad. So since time was running out, I kind of gave him a summary. I told him that there are 3 reasons why people prefer Hyderabad. And I chose Bangalore as a comparison. Not that I have anything against Bangalore, not that I want to run down Bangalore. It is a city that I really like going to. But since that is the obvious comparison, people either come here or go there. I told him 3 things. I actually gave him a live example. I told him that Apple have set up their, the first time when they moved out of North America, they have decided to set up their maps division here in Hyderabad. And today they have 4,800 people, all GIS professionals who are working here in Hyderabad. And when Tim Cook was here and many of his other senior colleagues were here, we actually asked him that what prompted him to choose Hyderabad. And a summary of what his team told us was, one is that when it comes to comparison with other Indian cities, the very strong value proposition in terms of infrastructure, the quality of infrastructure vis-a-vis the cost of infrastructure is very high in Hyderabad. So these gentlemen with whom I was talking to in the lobby, I just pointed out that if you have to rent some space across the road, there are some commercial buildings. The rental that you will pay in Hyderabad will be half of what you will be paying in Bangalore. In Bangalore, you may be paying maybe some 70 rupees or 80 rupees for that space per SFT. Here, the rental will be roughly around 40 rupees or so. And at that rental in Bangalore, you will get only half the infrastructure of what you will get in Hyderabad. So you will get only half the infrastructure at twice the cost. So that is one very strong value proposition. The second important value proposition, again, is in terms of availability of talent, which I won't say that Bangalore has lesser availability or so. Perhaps the availability could be equal in both the cities. But one important point about Hyderabad is the retention of that talent. And again, I don't know if anyone from Qualcomm is there in the audience, but I have data of Qualcomm Hyderabad versus Qualcomm Bangalore, because both these cities host roughly equal number of professionals. Hyderabad has roughly 3,800 Qualcomm employees, and Bangalore has roughly 3,600 Qualcomm employees. And I was in a similar seminar where I coincidentally bumped into the two respective heads of Qualcomm. The Qualcomm head of Hyderabad, of course, is my friend, Shashi Reddy. And I was introduced to the gentleman who heads Qualcomm Bangalore. And we just we got talking. And out of curiosity, I asked him about this fact. So the Bangalore gentleman mentioned that his employee turnover is like the Silicon Valley turnover. He loses 12%, 14% employees every year. And Shashi Reddy told me, and I know this for sure because I meet so many companies every day, that here the turnover is only about 4% to 5%. So availability of talent and the ability to retain that talent is definitely a very strong point which companies look for in Hyderabad. And the third factor, of course, is the fact that government is very supportive. In Bangalore, there is a general sense that government is indifferent to the requirements of the industry, while here they find that there is lots of effort to proactively reach out to find out what exactly is happening. Is there something which they want to be changed or improved or modified? Is there anything which they want to be advocated? Now, I don't know how much of GST is an issue for you, but for the software companies, GST has been a very big thing, particularly the way the returns, etc., have to be filed. So they require filing at every location where the company is present, and it requires multiple kinds of inspections, etc. So because we support a huge software industry, with the help of NASSCOM, which BVR Garu was heading at that time, we personally took it upon ourselves to really advocate with the government of India, with the finance minister and other concerned, about the need to have very simplified system of GST. Of course, not that it was fully agreed upon, but at least we made a very sincere effort on behalf of the industry. So any issue where you require advocacy, where you require lobbying, where you require campaigning, for all homegrown players, the government here takes a very, very proactive and a very strong stand. So these are some of the reasons why of late companies feel that Hyderabad is the best bet amongst all cities in the country. And since morning you must have learned about this, that in both the defense and aerospace sector, as well as in the electronic and semiconductor sector, we are seeing some amazing traction. In fact, in defense sector, the recent entrants in Hyderabad, those names are quite well known. Boeing has set up a large project in Hyderabad. And Rafael, you had Mr. Kalyani in the morning himself here. He and the Rafael group have taken up a joint venture project, which does a very state-of-the-art kind of thing. And there are a couple of other very big names, which I don't want to announce at this point because nothing has been tied up, so to say. But in the coming months, you will see some real mega announcements of 2-3 very, very big defense projects coming our way here in Hyderabad. And similarly, in the areas of semiconductor and in the area of electronic manufacturing, we are receiving some very amazing traction. Again, I don't want to disclose names, but we are on the verge of closing some very, very important discussions which can see Hyderabad really leapfrogging as a most preferred destination for manufacturing. But there is something else beyond manufacturing also, which I want to speak very briefly as a concluding part of my remarks. I guess BVR Mohan Reddy Garu spoke about it briefly, but I would like to also add my bit. Now, one thing is that, as most of you would be aware, startups are playing a very significant role in the world of technology today. And the same is now true for India as a whole. And of course, Bangalore has a early lead over any other Indian city in terms of nurturing startups. But in the last 3 years, Hyderabad has really come off its own. And our model, a government-led model of promoting a very comprehensive entrepreneurial ecosystem, has received lots of acclaim. In fact, many of you would be aware that we host the largest technology incubator of the country called T-Hub. And now we are coming up with a very focused incubator, which will be focused on electronic hardware and semiconductors, which is called T-Works. T-Works again is modeled on what we see in some cities in the United States, what are called tech shops or maker space there. In fact, the model that we are trying to emulate is something which we saw in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles City, there is an incubator which is run by the government of California. It is called LACI, LSCI, Los Angeles La Creds Center for, I don't recall now the full form of that, but it is called LSCI, LACI. And when we visited there about a year and a half ago, we came across an amazing prototyping lab with the latest state-of-the-art equipment, machinery, and a very good model through which all that is made available to entrepreneurs at a highly subsidized rate. Lots of mentoring is possible, lots of networking happens, opportunity to link up with the VC community is provided. So based on what we saw there, we are trying to create what is called T-Works. And one thing which we observed in Los Angeles, which we want to bring here as well, is a very strong industry participation. In fact, in Los Angeles, what we found was that most of the machinery there was either contributed by the industry, either the machinery or the licenses, etc., at very soft terms. And we realized that the industry also gets quite a lot out of it. It is not a charity or a donation that the industry has made. One is that, of course, industry gets some money back, some revenue back through a pay-per-use model. But the industry also commissions lots of R&D, lots of projects using these startups, using these young entrepreneurs. So it also gains quite a lot in outsourcing their R&D work. Not, of course, the core R&D, but some kind of ancillary or related R&D. So I would request all of you, if you want to learn more about T-Works and how the industry can participate and contribute, I'll be very happy to share all that with you later. And later meaning after the formal ceremony is over here. The second interesting concept, which initiative that we are promoting is, many of you would be aware and many of you would perhaps be from that industry itself. Hyderabad has a small but a very thriving VLSI industry. In fact, many of the large semiconductor companies give lots of work to the VLSI companies who are located in Hyderabad. And our interest is now to promote a very state-of-the-art VLSI academy, which will make high-quality talent available to the industry. And here again, we look at a public-private model in which the government collaborates with the industry to put together this training academy. And again, the industry participation will be in the form of course, providing equipment, but also in providing senior leadership, their kind of resources, who can take sessions there, who can design courses, who can conduct these courses. And obviously, if you find good talent amongst the students who are using this academy, then obviously you give placement opportunities in your companies, etc. So these are two new initiatives of ours, which will be of tremendous relevance to members of audience here. The minister had already announced the setting up of a defense and aerospace incubator. So I don't want to elaborate more on that. So that one initiative plus these two that I spoke about, T-Works and the VLSI Academy. If your company feels that these two initiatives are aligned with your own priorities, then please reach out to us. We'll be very happy to give you more information. In fact, there are two small teams working on these two initiatives in my office, and I can connect you to those team leaders also who can give you much more clarification and information. So once again, I'm very happy that the fourth edition of Deftronics is commencing extremely satisfactorily. I did notice in the morning that the hall was overflowing and there were lots of people who could not get in. So I'm sure when we plan for the fifth edition, We'll try to do it in a bigger and a more spacious venue, and we'll try to have much more enriching content and a very strong value addition to all of you. So once again, congratulations to the ISA, the entire Deftronics team. And once again, thanks very much for inviting me here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think it's a fantastic speech. I think your Karnataka needs to learn. You're clearly giving a run for Bangalore's money.